Continuing with our reading of Han Feizi, section 49, the five culprits. In the most ancient times, when men were few and creature numerous, human beings could not overcome the birds, beasts, insects, and reptiles. Then a sage appeared who fashioned nests of wood to protect men from harm. The people were delighted and made him ruler of the world, calling him the nest builder. The people lived on fruits, berries, mussels, and clams, things rank and evil smelling that hurt their bellies, so that many of them fell ill. Then a sage appeared who drilled with sticks and produced fire with which to transform the rank and putrid foods. The people were delighted and made him ruler of the world, calling him the drill man. In the age of Middle Antiquity, there was a great flood in the world, but Kun and Yu of the Xia dynasty opened up channels for the water. In the age of recent antiquity, Jie and Zhou ruled in a violent and perverse way, but Tang of Yin dynasty and Wu of Zhou dynasty overthrew them. Now, if anyone had built wooden nests or drilled for fire in the time of Xia dynasty, Kun and Yu would have laughed at him, and if anyone had tried to open channels for water during the Yin or Zhou dynasty, Tang and Wu would have laughed at him. This being so, if people in the present age go about exalting the ways of Yao, Shun, Yu, Tang, and Wu, the sages of today are bound to laugh at them. For the sage does not try to practice the way of antiquity or to abide by a fixed standard, but examines the affairs of the age and takes what precautions are necessary. There was a farmer of Song who tilled the land, and in his field was a stump. One day, a rabbit racing across the field bumped into the stump, broke its neck, and died. Thereupon, the farmer laid aside his plough and took up watch beside the stump, hoping that he would get another rabbit in the same way. But he got no more rabbits and instead became the laughing stock of Song. Those who think they can take the ways of the ancient kings and use them to govern the people of today all belong in the category of stump watchers. In ancient times, husbands did not have to till the fields, for the seeds of grass and the fruits of trees were enough for people to eat. Wives did not have to weave, for the skins of birds and beasts provided sufficient clothing. No one had to struggle to keep himself supplied. The people were few, there was an abundance of goods, and so no one quarreled. Therefore, no rich rewards were doled out, no harsh punishments were administered, and yet the people of themselves were orderly. But nowadays, no one regards 5 sons as a large number, and these 5 sons in turn have 5 sons each, so that before the grandfather has died, he has 25 grandchildren. Hence, the number of people increases, goods grow scarce, and men have to struggle and slave for a meager living. Therefore, they fall to quarreling, and though rewards are doubled and punishments are piled on, they cannot be prevented from growing disorderly. When Yao ruled the world, he left the thatch of his roof untrimmed, and his speckled beams were not planed. He ate coarse millet and a soup of greens, whose deerskin in winter days and rough fiber robes in summer. Even a lowly gatekeeper was no worse clothed and provided for than he. When Yu ruled the world, he took plough and spade in hand to lead his people, working until there was no more down on his thighs or hair on his shins. Even the toil of a slave taken prisoner in the wars was no bitterer than his. Therefore, those men in ancient times who abdicated and relinquished the rule of the word were, in a manner of speaking, merely forsaking the life of a gatekeeper and escaping from the toil of a slave. Therefore, they thought little of handing over the rule of the word to someone else. Nowadays, however, the magistrate of a district dies, and his son and grandsons are able to go riding about in carriage for generations after. Therefore, people prize such offices. In the matter of relinquishing things, people thought nothing of stepping down from the position of Son of Heaven in ancient times. Yet they are very reluctant to give up the post of district magistrate today. This is because of the difference in the actual benefits received. Those who live in the mountains and must descend to the valley to fetch their water give each other gifts of water at festival time. Those who live in the swamps and are troubled by dampness actually hire laborers to dig ditches to drain off the water. In the spring following a famine year, even the little boys of the family get no food. In the fall of a year of plenty, even casual visitors are feasted. It is not that men are indifferent to their own flesh and blood and generous to passing visitor. It is because of the difference in the amount of food to be had. Hence, when men of ancient times made light of material goods, it was not because they were benevolent, but because there was surplus of goods. And when men quarrel and snatch today, it is not because they are vicious, but because goods have grown scarce. When men lightly relinquish the position of Son of Heaven, it is not because they are high minded, but because the advantages of post are slight. When men strive for sinecures in the government, it is not because they are base, but because the power they will acquire is great. When the sage rules, he takes into consideration the quantity of things and deliberates on scarcity and plenty. Though his punishments may be light, this is not due to his compassion. Though his penalties may be severe, this is not because he is cruel. He simply follows the custom appropriate to the time. Circumstances change according to the age, and ways of dealing with them change with the circumstances. The proverb says, if you have long sleeves, you'll be good at dancing. If you have lots of money, you'll be good at business. This means that it is easy to become skillful when you have ample resources. These are the customs of a disordered state. Its scholars praise the ways of the former kings and imitate their benevolence and righteousness. Put on a fair appearance and speak in elegant phrases, thus casting doubt upon the laws of the time and causing the ruler to be of two minds. Its speechmakers propound false schemes and borrow influence from abroad, furthering their private interests and forgetting the welfare of the state's altar of the soil and grain. Its swordsmen gather bands of followers about them and perform deeds of honor, making a fine name for themselves and violating the prohibitions of 5 government bureaus. Those of its people who are worried about military service flock to the gate of private individuals and pour out their wealth in bribes to influential men who will plead for them, in this way escaping the hardship of battle. Its merchants and artisans spend their time making articles of no practical use and gathering stores of luxury goods, accumulating riches, waiting for the best time to sell and exploiting the farmer. These 5 groups are the vermin of the state. If the ruler do not wipe out such vermin and in their place encourage men of integrity and public spirit, then they should not be surprised when they look about the area within the 4 seas to see states perish and ruling houses wane and die.